You guys can hear me okay?
Yes, perfect.
Yep.
Sound good.
Okay. All right, welcome everybody to the Tuesday, January 26th, 2021 workshop meeting for Verona Borough Council. Please rise for the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America,
America.
to the republic for which it stands, one nation,
One
under God, indivisible, with
Liberty and
justice
justice
for all.
for all.
Okay, thank you. Roll call, Mr. Kenna,
Dr. Carpenter.
present.
Allen.
Present.
Mr. Forbeck.
Present.
Mr. Suchovich.
I'm here.
Ms. Loalbo.
Present.
Ms. Provenza.
Present.
Mayor Recupero.
Present.
Mr. Alexander.
Present.
I am also here.
Okay, and I don't believe that there are any registered comments from the public. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, at this time, if anybody from council has any additional agenda items that came up after this was published, if you could please mention that now, and we can add that to our agenda.
Yes, I have something. I want to bring up 851 Second Street where the community garden was going to be. There was some change in plans on that.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Anybody else? Janet, go ahead.
I was also going to speak on that and also put a proposal in for an alternate lot.
Okay, so I'm sorry, I missed the first thing.
Also, the community garden lot at 851 First Street, and I'm going to put in a motion for the West Railroad Avenue. I'm going to speak on that as well.
Okay, great. Anybody else? Okay, thank you for those additions. Now, council will hear comments on all agenda items at this time. Please raise your virtual hand and clearly state your name and address and limit your comments to 3 minutes as much as possible. And I see Mr. Flota's hand is up. Jerry,
I'm trying. It's not working. for some
Okay.
reason.
okay.
I'm trying to do the promote to panelists, but it's not letting me. I'm just going to allow him to talk.
Okay, that's fine.
Go ahead, Vince. Vince, you
You're
there?
muted, Vince.
I had to rejoin. My computer's running very slow. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, yep.
Vince Flota, 323 Penn Street. I just had a question for Craig. I see there's a lot of votes tonight, and how are the votes, since I'm on the vacancy person, how are the votes going to be? Is it going to be first to four, or is it going to, since there might be more than 2 applicants, is it going to be a line vote or a majority vote?
Madam President, would you like me to respond to that?
Sure.
My understanding, Vince, is that depending on whether they do a motion to nominate an individual or whether they take nominations of any of the finalists, there's going to be an up and down vote on each of those finalists. So let's say finalist letter A gets 2 votes in favor and 4 votes against. They would fail, and it would go to finalist B. But if finalist A gets 3 votes and 3 nays, the mayor could break that tie. If the mayor chooses to break that tie, then that finalist has 4 votes, and he or she would be appointed to council. If the mayor chooses not to break the tie to allow other of the nominees to be voted on, and one of those nominees gets the floor, that person would be would be appointed to council. So the answer to your question is the first finalist, the first nominee or moved party to get to 4 votes is appointed to council.
Okay, thank you.
So
That's all I
Vince,
had.
okay, Vince, but I think maybe you were asking the question in regard to the fact that you were appointed to the vacancy board.
Yes, in order to, I just wanted to see what was gonna happen if I was needed to break a tie.
So Vince,
Yeah, no, that wouldn't happen tonight anyway.
Right.
That was gonna be my next question,
Yeah.
because I would want to know if I would have a chance to at least review the letters or something. So I'm
So
not
Vince-
just
Vince,
picking someone in the dark.
the way that the vacancy board works is that when somebody resigns or there's a vacancy in council, council has 30 days to appoint somebody to fill that vacancy. And the mayor has the ability to be the tiebreaker during that 30-day period. If for whatever reason, the board, the council is unable to appoint somebody within that 30-day period, then they no longer have the power to act. It moves to what's called the vacancy board. And the vacancy board consists of the 6 remaining members of council and the vacancy board member. So now, instead of the mayor acting as the tiebreaker, the vacancy board member acts as a tiebreaker. And the vacancy board has 15 days to act after the 30 days has expired to fill the vacancy. And if for whatever reason the vacancy board isn't able to break that tie or appoint somebody to the council, then it moves downtown and a judge would decide who gets appointed.
That's how I thought it worked. I just wanted to make sure that I had a firm grasp of it before we got into it. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's all we have.
Okay, no other comments. Okay, the first thing I'd like to do is report on several of the exec sessions that we have had since the last meeting. As you recall, right after the meeting from 2 weeks ago, we called for an exec session for personnel, or I guess maybe potential, I don't know what you want to call it, but it was in regard to county hauling, and we did make some decisions at that exec session, and I'll let Mr. Alexander fill in the details of what we decided that night.
So that executive session I would call potential litigation.
Okay,
We did discuss county hauling and their ongoing performance related issues. And what was decided was there's a liquidated damages provision in the contract. We're going to be progressively fining county hauling for any permitted liquidated damage under the contract, such as spillage of leachate and not cleaning it up immediately, missed pickups, without going back within 24 hours and picking them up, missed pickups 2 weeks in a row, things like that. I know some people had some problems with recyclables that weren't picked up. And what we agreed to do was monitor them for a period of 45 days to see if there's been substantial improvement. And if not, then we're going to pursue other legal options. That's what was discussed at that legal executive session, Madam President.
okay, thank you for that clarification. Other exec meetings that we've had since the last meeting, we announced the one that we were interviewing a potential candidate for a interim position, possible interim position on that following Thursday, the 14th at 5:30. And we also, hold on a second. We also had another exec session with another potential candidate. And I believe that was the following week on Tuesday, the 19th. They were just interviews. Then on this past Saturday, we had an exec session where we interviewed all of the people who were interested in the vacant council seat. So those, I believe, are all the exec sessions that we've had since the last meeting. So unless anybody can think of something I might have forgotten. No, okay. So now the next thing we're going to do is want to bring forward a chance for discussion and vote on what I have written here as interim borough manager. Not sure that we actually found anybody that was going to fill that position as an interim borough manager per se. But we did talk to people who are interested in helping us find a full-time borough manager. And we talked to one person who is willing to do that, as well as many other services. One was to help us with any administrative issues that might come up. So that would be quasi like interim borough manager, but not specifically, just administrative issues. And in addition, this woman is planning to interview all of council and all the employees of the borough and prepare a report recommending ways that we might function more efficiently and effectively. So there are several things in what she was proposing to us. And as I stated Thursday, a couple weeks ago, we interviewed her. And I'd like to ask Dave Matlin if you have any other comments about that process before we go further.
Yeah, so I don't know, Nancy, do you want to try to share the proposal for?
Yeah,
So the woman who we spoke with, Susan Hockenberry, she has extensive experience. She was executive director of the Local Government Academy for 14 years. She was director of administration and finance for O'Hara Township for 10 years. She served as executive director of the Quaker Valley Council of Governments. And most recently, she's been doing coaching and consulting for local governments on, increasing efficiency, effectiveness, accountability, and I think just following best practices that she's learned from her years of local government experience. I know she's also been on state advisory boards regarding local government policies and procedures. So the way she presented us this was that she would basically be a consultant and a coach to help us through the transition period that we're going through. She'd interview all of the council, the mayor, manager, staff, and just try to get a handle on how things are working now, how we can maybe improve things, better communications, things like that. And she'll, provide her recommendations in a report. And she'll also be able to help with the job search for the permanent borough manager position, which is already underway. And, I think she could just be a kind of an independent voice that would help us make sure that we're on the right track there. So I don't know, I have the proposal, I could share it if you think that's necessary. Or
yeah, if you wouldn't mind, Jerry, do you have your security settings so that Dave would be able to share a screen?
I'm pretty sure that any participant, oh no, hold on.
No, I
Yeah.
can't share it.
All
No.
panelists. So you should be good now.
Okay, let's go ahead and do that.
So this is, I mean, the term of this is, I think was 3 months, is that correct? I mean,
Yeah,
it's,
maximum, and it doesn't have to be.
Right.
But I believe that she
But-
was proposing that she would work up until the end of April.
but it was a flat fee, right? Is what I recall, a flat fee.
Flat, yes, a
Yeah.
flat fee of $32.50 for
Okay.
3 months.
So can everyone see that
Can
now?
you make
I
it
have it up
bigger?
too.
Let's see here.
Oh, that's a little better, thank you.
You can do that on your screen too, Nance, by making it bigger.
Oh,
that's
yeah,
too
that's
big.
true, I see it. Yep, yep.
So, yeah, she provide assistance and advice during employment search period, assist in conducting the search and interview process, review and provide recommendations. Just in, in general, not just specific to the borough manager position. Interviews of the staff and officials. I'm gonna skim through it, but if anyone has any questions, let me know.
Let's scroll down to the bottom and show what her proposed, there's estimated completion date, April 30th.
Yeah, April 30th. So it would be from now until April 30th. She attached her resume. The total fee would be $3,250. And that would be split, in 2 installments. Each would be half of that. So her resume is below. For some reason, I opened this up in Google Docs and it butchered the document. So there's all sorts of spelling issues, but it doesn't. That's not how it was in the
Do you
original
want me to do it?
document. But yeah, so she,
Okay.
I mean,
So, the question, I mean, I remember it was a flat fee, but was there a maximum? Like, it was basically as on needed. She was going to do those services, but if we need any other help, it was going to be beyond, no.
Yes, yeah, I have the wording of that right here. And what she stated as an addendum to her proposal is her services are to be provided per the scope, which is what Dave was showing. If the services go beyond the scope, then the wording would be, if additional services beyond those specified in the proposal are requested by the borough and agreed to by the consultant, they will occur at a mutually agreed upon schedule at a rate of $75 per hour. So I think she talked briefly to Marcia and Jerry to find out how much really was going on, and felt that as things were right now, unless a big issue comes up that would create more of a time requirement for her, that she could do everything that that she was informed about happens in the borough on a day-to-day basis for this fee. But I think that if we did come up with some big issue, then it would be worth to agree to this. And it would only happen if the council and her all agreed to additional money. So unless anybody has any more questions about her proposal, I'd like to take that off the screen.
I don't have a question about the proposal. I have a question about, is she going to be in the office every day?
No, I don't know that she's going to be in the office much at all. She's probably going to work mostly remotely.
And so does that mean that Jerry is done as of the 31st? Or, I mean, because there was talk that Jerry was going to stay on with us and help us.
Right, there was talk about
Since we're
that.
close to a borough manager. So, I mean, since we're getting close to a borough manager, do we really need this person?
Well, I'm not sure that we're as close as we think we are. And in my opinion, and I'm certainly open to hear other people's opinions, but in my opinion, I'd like to just make it clean and clear as to how things are happening. And we've already approved Jerry's resignation for January 30th or 31st, whatever you want to call it. I'd like to just with that to make things very easy to understand. There's no fuzzy boundaries. And
So then Jerry won't be helping her at all, do anything. She'll be,
well, no, that's not necessarily true. He's still gonna potentially be our financial director, which is
Right.
the next thing that I have listed here. And they would be working very closely together, just like he would be working closely
Well-
with the permanent borough manager.
well, if Jerry's done as the borough manager, then he would just be responsible to answering to her for accounting stuff. Am I right? I mean, we're not paying Jerry to be a borough manager now at this point, because he's done at that point.
So my understanding of Jerry's proposal that he offered to us several weeks ago was that he would be continuing with receiving the bills, paying the bills, doing the monthly financial statements and presenting them to council for doing things that are required for audits and working on things for budgetary input.
Correct.
And
But not
Yeah.
borough manager stuff.
right, day-to-day borough manager stuff would go to somebody else.
So we're gonna put someone in there that has no idea about Verona and tell Jerry, okay, at the end of January, you're done. As far as, I don't understand it.
Would somebody else like to take a crack at this?
Well, so Ray, I think we talked about this the other day, but so Susan wouldn't necessarily, she wouldn't be an interim manager per se. She would be a consultant and a coach to help us look at our practices and look at the job search and help us through the transition.
So we're still not gonna have anybody in there every day then.
I mean, we have Marcia in there now.
No, but I'm saying a borough manager or an acting borough manager. We're
No.
gonna have our borough administrative assistant in there.
Correct, because we searched and could not find someone available who could be in the borough every day on an interim basis, other than Doug Shields, who was resoundingly rejected. So,
Two
So
other
on a-
people too. We met with two other people. Did anybody get quotes and prices off of them?
well, the one
I mean,
person.
We don't have to, but don't you think for transparency's sake, we should?
Well, the one gentleman we met with was former mayor of Monroeville, Greg Arasenko, and he said he would help us with the job search free of charge. So I mean, that's certainly an option. I personally feel that, you know, Susan has a lot more to offer as far as what she can help us with. And, you know, Mr. Arasenko stated pretty clearly that he was not going to be an interim manager. He was not interested in that. The other gentleman we met with, Toby, his last name escapes me right now, from
I forget his name too.
through Elam, he suggested a similar thing of helping us with the job search. So he's certainly a possibility, but I don't believe we got a quote from them exactly what the rate would be.
We didn't get a quote or a proposal from them, yeah, either of them, so.
I just don't see what the rush is to say, when Jerry's offering to help us and he knows everything that we have and what we need, to just say, okay, Jerry, you're done.
Well, that's what Jerry requested when
And
he,
Jerry also
put in
requested
his
that he said that he would
resignation.
stick around
okay, well,
to help. But they don't want, you don't want his help then, I guess.
First of all, I'm not sure that other than knowing the people personally who are involved, that the woman who was the executive director of Local Government Academy and taught people how to do all of these jobs would need any kind of training. So I want to also point out, number one, on the proposal there, provide assistance and advice in municipal administration during employment search period. That's essentially where she's stating that she would be willing to assist us in day-to-day borough manager type activities.
Yeah, that was the question I had, Nancy. I think that would just, the answer is who would do the day-to-day activity. And I guess if that's in there, that was the answer.
Yeah, that's part of her proposal. Uh-oh, okay, here we go. So,
I just think that there should have been the other people to, if we got a bid from one person, why didn't whoever get a bid from the other people? With the same, I mean, it's the exact same thing what we're doing with the accountant. We're getting bids for the accountant.
well, I guess
Same thing.
I'm wondering why anybody other than me, there's 6 or at the time, total of 7, 5 other people, that were certainly free to call up the people at ALOM and say, hey, give us a more specific proposal. I did my job and I did as much as I could possibly do.
I don't think that's fair, but you're right. I mean, we could all ask, I guess, everybody, right? I mean,
Well,
Yeah, I mean, I made one
I mean,
proposal.
when I went out and asked people about to the accounting services, I kind of got blistered for that. So I mean, I just think I don't know. I understand we need to stopgap measure, and so whether or not this person's the right person, I mean, we have 1 week to make a decision on it, or not. We have to make a decision tonight, basically, I guess, right? I mean, this is it, the 30 next.
Yeah, this is the 26th of January,
well,
and the 31st is coming up on Sunday. Go
so
ahead, Dave.
if I remember correctly, Toby was basically going to offer to help assist with the job search. I mean, unless someone remembers differently, I don't remember him really being able to offer much more than that. He stated, he and Susan, if I remember correctly, both stated that they recommended that they felt that based on our current operations and situation, that we didn't necessarily need an interim manager to sit in the borough building 40 hours a week. Now, I think we do need that on a permanent basis, but they felt, and they also felt like, well, Toby felt like he was going to help with the job search. I don't think he was going to be able to provide these additional services that Susan has offered. So I guess if council thinks that Toby is a better candidate or has better services to provide that are a better fit for us, then maybe we consider that. But I think what Susan offers for the price that she offers is very reasonable, and I think she can help us get off on the right foot with this transition and going forward.
Well, I just guess my question is, so after tonight, after the 30th, and Jerry's done, and he doesn't have to really do anything else borough manager wise to help anybody out. By what I'm gathering today.
So Ray, can you provide some examples of what you're thinking about, that you're maybe concerned about?
Day. Good, I'm sorry.
I mean, I hear what you're saying, but I'm not sure precisely what you're referring to. Because there's the borough kind of runs itself unless there's issues, concerns from the citizens of the town.
I understand that.
So if those come up and there's an issue, then I believe that Susan is would be capable of taking care of that and willing, and she's available by phone and by Zoom. And I do think that she probably intends to come to Verona. I just don't know how many hours, and that's not really part of the proposal. She's gonna be
Well,
able to.
who's gonna,
provide
okay,
that
I'll
service.
give you a for instance. Who's gonna relay to the street crew what needs to be done? Who's gonna relay to Marcia this, that needs done? That's
She
just
will.
little stuff that Jerry does. And we're
She can-
telling Jerry at the end of the 31st, he's done.
Yeah,
And then
I'm
who's
pretty
gonna
sure
come in and do that?
I think she can do that.
You think she can do that?
I am very sure that she could do that.
I just don't see why we can't keep Jerry on until we get a borough manager when he's willing to do that. That's just my opinion.
Well, there's also the factor of the mathematics. We stand to save about $1,000 a month if we do it with Jerry being the finance director and hiring Susan.
It's up to everybody. I'm just giving my 2 cents worth. That's
Okay,
my feelings. I told you on the
Okay.
phone a couple weeks ago, I didn't think this was a good idea, but I mean, I don't think we need it, but that's just me.
okay.
So
Well,
I'm
thank
just
you
there
for
in
sharing.
so nobody can say, well, you agreed to it, you
mhm.
know.
Right, and I appreciate you sharing your thoughts and your opinions. And I'm open to hearing from anybody else. And so if there aren't any other, if there isn't any other discussion about this at this moment, I'd like to,
I have some, I really think, I mean, to get back to the issue that I said, we really need to nail down who really is doing the day-to-day activities. And Marcia's obviously can take care of the administration part. Susan Hockenberry can help with the administrative parts, but there is a question, who does the street crew? I mean, it's going to be winter. It's still going to be, there's going to be snow and salt to order and things like that. If we can resolve those type of issues, I'm fine, but that's only the concern that I have.
I don't see why she could not do that. I think that's what her proposal precisely says in item number 1.
Okay, well,
So at this point, I'd like to hear a motion to accept Susan Hockenberry's proposal for her consulting services and any services beyond the scope of the proposal as deemed necessary, and have her starting date be Thursday, January 28th.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. A second? Do I hear a second for the motion?
I'll second it, Nancy.
Thank you. Okay, any questions or comments?
yeah, I think we just need to clarify that if she is part of this, that provide assistance and advice includes all the day-to-day activities that a manager would be conducting.
Okay,
It seems reasonable.
I have a comment, if I may,
okay.
and wonder if we're able to hire a manager within the next 2 or 3 weeks.
Well, honestly, I don't see that happening. So that's my first response to that.
Do you think it would help if we provide an update now on where we are in the manager search? And it would provide a little bit more information to people, or do you want me to wait?
I don't know that I want to confuse the issue. I do know that she is very interested and eager and enthusiastic to contribute to the search process, and will be available as of Thursday to contribute to that process. I, being someone who really is not familiar with the process, I don't know how to make a lot of comment on that, but from what I've heard from the gentleman from DCED and from Local Government Academy, is that it's really not something that you want to rush. And we've never had the opportunity to have a full-time borough manager. And I think that we want to be very careful about how we schedule, how we make our decisions and what our process is going to be. And I think that she could be very valuable in contributing to that process.
I think, yeah, I think having someone who's a seasoned professional in this field with experience in this realm to guide us and be an independent check on what we're doing to make sure that we get this right. You know, not taking away anything from the committee, Mike and Ray and Sylvia, that the work that you guys have put in so far. I think you've had a lot of applicants, and you've done a lot of work, spent a lot of time reviewing them. You know, I just think as we whittle it down and the full council starts to review this, that you know, having this professional, just making sure we're on the right track, I think is important. You know, and I don't know, you know, I'm open to other suggestions about how to do that. I don't think this is something we should do on our own. I think it's something we need an independent, you know, veteran to help with.
Well, I don't think we need that much help, but I think we definitely I would welcome the input from her. Absolutely. I mean, everybody that we reviewed, that we interviewed, were saying we were way ahead of, and we were doing a very good job of what we conducting these and following the process as needed. So I'm okay with additional help. I mean,
yeah, I don't think it's necessarily the process. I think you know, she may be able to give us insight to help us better decide, you know, formulate and decide as a council or as a committee what, you know, what we want and need out of a borough manager, and to help us make sure we get that out of the best candidate. So you know.
Okay, so there's currently a motion on the floor to accept her proposal. And are there any other questions or comments at this time? All right, then, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed?
Opposed.
Roll call vote.
Great.
Okay,
President Carpenter,
yes.
Mr. Matlin,
Yes.
Mr. Forbeck,
yes.
Mr. Suchovich,
No.
Ms. Luabo,
I'm torn. I'll say yes.
Ms. Provenza,
Yes, sir.
I do want to know, I mean, it's with the provision that we do find the additional, the day-to-day activities. So I should have referenced my vote.
Yes, I'm making note of that. And so with that vote, the motion passes. Thank you, everybody. And now I guess we will move on to item number, whatever it is, 3. So as I alluded to before, I would like to accept Jerry Kenna's proposal to be the finance director for the Borough of Verona for the amount that he proposed in the budget for his payment for this work. And it would encompass everything that I mentioned before: bills, reports, audits, budget work, all those financial things that a treasurer and accountant would be doing for the Borough of Verona. And that would be as of February 1st. And I'd like to hear if there's any more discussion about that.
Do we want to discuss the proposals that I think Ray and Mike sought a couple other proposals?
Go ahead,
Go-
Jerry
sure.
provided
I
one.
got 3 proposals, 3 prices. I mean,
Okay,
there was the list of what we put out to each person of what their responsibilities were. And we got prices back on there was 4 different line items. And I mean, I don't know if you want me to break it down by line item or just break it down by the final cost.
how about let's start with the final cost, and if anybody has any specific questions, you can go into it then. How
We
about
had
that?
3 bids. We had 3 bids. One was $24,000. One was $26,820. And one was $50,000.
Right. So, given Jerry's familiarity with all of the finances for the borough and the fact that he's doing that for the lowest cost.
Mr. Kenna was the lowest cost, yes.
Right. So that would make sense at this point. I think to keep him on as our finance director starting February 1st. But he doesn't have to be worrying about borough manager concerns, I guess, after Sunday.
So do we need a motion? I'll make the motion to accept Jerry Kenna, well, your company as the financial director for the borough starting February 1st.
I'll second.
Okay, any questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Okay, and I also just want to throw in there, Jerry, I want to just give a shout out to you and a thank you for all of the work you've been doing on the finances since 2015, because without your hard work, we wouldn't be in a position to be able to make some of these decisions and look for a full-time borough manager. So thank you.
Yep.
Next item on the agenda. Drum roll, please, is to discuss and vote on the vacant council seat that was, that occurred on January 12th. And I don't know if there's much to be discussed here, but I think at this point, we could take nominations. And just remember that a nomination does not require a second. So I'd like to hear any nominations for candidates for the council seat vacancy.
Real quick, Nancy, do you want to mention who all we interviewed or who
Oh,
applied for it?
Okay, should we do that?
You.
What?
I said, you could absolutely do that.
Okay, I'm not sure what's supposed to be public and what isn't. Sure. We had 4 great candidates that we interviewed on Saturday. They were Vince Floda, Joey Warren, Trish Redzek Showalter, and Michael Englert. So those are the 4 people that we are considering for this vacant seat. And I think that everybody had great strengths, and it was a tough decision, a very tough decision to make. At least it was for me.
I would agree with that.
Would too.
I really appreciate that we had that many folks that were really interested in being on council. I really appreciate them stepping forward.
Right, and keeping in mind that it was a last minute thing, so their life, whoever it is going to change in a heartbeat because they don't have the chance to be in the election process, get elected, and then have a couple months to get used to it.
I know, I lost all my hair.
Yeah, you shouldn't be sitting under that light. Blinding us.
So, all right. Any more preliminary discussion on this? And if not, I'll take a nomination or nominations for potential candidates.
I'd like to nominate Trish Resnick Showalter.
Okay. Any other nominations? Okay, so we have a nomination on the floor for Trish Redzak Showalter. I guess I can skip the roll call vote and just say all those in favor of Trish Redzak Showalter, please say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? No. Okay. Wow.
I would like to say one thing. I would like to say one thing, and I didn't get to say it earlier when we talked about the 4 candidates. I thought there was 4 good candidates that we interviewed. I thought they all had good assets, and I thought any one of them could fit in well. So it's no slight against everybody, and I just hope that they're not upset that they didn't get the nod, and just remember that election's coming up, and you can run and try to get on. It's always good to have new blood. I just think everybody had a great interview process. So I just wanted to state that.
Yes, thank you, Ray. That's very true. I agree totally.
I'd like to thank everybody too that did run. Everybody had, yes, great assets, great characteristics that, we could have nominated anybody. And thank you for running.
And I hope that everybody did not get on the vacant seat, will still remain involved with the community, and you never know when the next opportunity, can come up. So either by election or whatever. Anyway, so given our vote, I have in my hand the signed affidavit of residency and the oath of office that's signed by Trish and myself. And I believe, Greg, correct me if I'm wrong, that at this point, maybe we could elevate, I don't know, I hope your panelist thing is working, Jerry, whether we can bring Trish in as a panelist and do the swearing in right now.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Carpenter. I don't want the public or anybody to think that we were being presumptive by having Trish sign an affidavit of residency and an oath of office. We actually did that with all the finalists because
Right.
of the
They're
virtual,
all here.
because of the virtualness of the
Right. I
hearing.
have all of them, yes.
Anybody who is appointed to council has to sign the affidavit of residency before taking the oath of office, and it simply says that the person's been a resident of the borough of Verona for a continuous year prior to being appointed, and is a registered elector. So all the finalists sign that, and yes, so she qualifies as an elector and has been in the borough for a year, and the mayor is able to present that oath of office.
So Mayor, you're on, and Trish. Welcome, Trish.
Thank you, Craig, thank you for clarifying that, Craig. As like you said, all four of them did sign previous because of the Zoom meetings that we're having. And also, I agree with the rest of the board. There was 4 great candidates. They all brought value to the board. And unfortunately, we had to, this board had to pick one, and the one they picked was Trish. Is Trish on?
Yes.
Yes.
Congratulations, Trish.
Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, I'm gonna go over the oath of office, and if you want to repeat it, I'll repeat it. It's not very long, so whenever you're ready.
I'm ready.
Okay, I state your name.
I, Patricia Redzak Showalter,
Do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support
Go ahead, Trish.
I heard that I will support,
obey and defend the Constitution of the United States of America
obey and defend the Constitution of the United States of America
and the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania,
and the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania,
and that I will discharge my duties
and that I will discharge my duties
of my office with fidelity and honor.
of my office with fidelity and honor.
Congratulations, Councilwoman Trish.
Thank you.
Yay.
Congratulations, Trish, and many thanks to the other 3 that threw their hat in the
Yes.
ring.
Yep.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations, Trish.
Congratulations.
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 Welcome
Thank you.
aboard.
Oh,
Welcome
cheers.
aboard. Okay. On my agenda, I'm also just adding that I'd like to call for an exec session for after this meeting, and we do not have to come back. All right, I think next is Mr. Kenna.
Yeah, so Marcia sent out the meeting minutes after the past meeting. So we would need a motion to accept the meeting minutes for the regular business meeting on January 12th.
Make that motion.
Second,
Oh, right. Any questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? That motion passed.
The only other thing I would say is that I thank you for accepting my proposal to stay on as treasurer. I look forward to continuing my relationship with the borough, and it's been a pleasure to serve as manager for the last couple of years. And I wish whoever ends up getting the job the best of luck going forward.
Well, as I said before, thank you for all your hard work in that area, Jerry. Thank you.
yes, thank you, Jerry. Appreciate you.
I did
Jerry,
that too, Jerry.
thanks.
Thank you for all you've done.
Jaron, thank you, and glad you're still part of this.
Okay, next on the agenda is the mayor's report.
Just a couple things. The police car. I'm gonna consider on restriping it come springtime, the new one. I wanted to say Verona Police in nice bold letters, showing the town off, not having actually 3 unmarked police cars. We don't need 3 unmarked police cars. I'll make that decision come springtime. The other issue with the police car is, did we ever sell the other car? The Crown Vic?
Now, that's something I was actually going to piggyback on the exec session. One of the employees has expressed interest. So we have to decide whether or not we're okay doing that, or how you want to do it. I don't think the car is worth much. And one of our police officers is interested in buying it. So I needed to see if council was okay with that.
What would be, for how much?
I
probably
honestly
a-
don't think the car is worth. Go ahead,
It's
Dave.
probably about
All right.
$2,500 car.
You think it's that much?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I-
So
I've
I'm
seen them
sorry,
on- I've seen them on. I've seen them on municipal bids going for, around that price with the mileage.
I'm sorry, I missed the amount. My internet had a little glitch. What was the amount you were saying?
I would, about $2,500, but I could check tomorrow with one of my dealers just to make sure we're in the ballpark.
And how much were you thinking it was worth, Jerry?
I didn't think it'd be worth much more than $500, to be honest with you.
Could you repeat the model number of the car and the year?
It's a 2000, I believe it's a 9. I have to check off the top of my head, but it's a Ford Crown Victoria.
Yeah, we could do Kelly Blue Book and all that easy enough, right?
Yeah.
But the Kelly Blue Book doesn't go with too much with police cars. They're beaten.
Yeah, that's what I was
abused.
wondering. If it's
Not
gonna have
saying that ours is, but that's the way they look at them.
I trust you, Mayor, if you're going to be able to get that to some of your folks. Whose phone?
What are the rules about selling a vehicle? Are there any special rules about as far as who we can sell it to, or whether or how we get a fair?
I think if it's over a certain amount, it has to go on for a bid.
Right. I
go ahead,
think
Craig.
that, and I can't remember what the dollar amount is because I think it's changed. I think anything under $2,500, that the borough has the authority to dispose of it as it wishes.
So Dave, I just looked on Kelly Blue Book, and a 2009 Crown Victoria, but it's showing an LX model, not a police car. The trade-in value is $2,393, but again, that's not a police car. So I don't know how that would affect the value.
Well, it affects it a lot, being that the car is, I don't want to say beat, but I'm going to say beat.
Yeah.
It honestly does.
And it's
They're very low in price.
Yeah.
Right.
Dave, what's the mileage on it?
It's about
I
88.
honestly don't know, but it's,
It's
mean,
almost 90,000 miles.
Oh, wow. Okay. Thank you.
we could discuss that price. We're all pretty much in the ballpark of, where the price is. So we could discuss that price.
I
Do
have
we
a
need
question
to
on the
make,
police car, Dave, on the striping. Why would we pay somebody to take the new striping off and put newer striping on when these cars match each other now? They're uniform, they look nice, I don't see why we would pay more money to do that.
Well, first of all, Ray, I was never informed of buying the car, getting it striped. I wasn't included in any of that. The Pride of Verona, just like on your fire trucks that are owned
They
by the
match.
borough, we have Verona. And just like the borough trucks, they match too, Verona Street Department. Why do we got to hide our name, in the ghost striping?
I don't
I'm
think it's
against
it.
that. We have 3 unmarked cars, so to speak.
To get that done, would that have to come to a motion to the council? To change that?
I would think so. You're spending money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just think the car, they look nice. They're beautiful. I know I wasn't part of the process of buying it, but I understand you were in the meetings. And
No,
why
no,
would
I
we
was
spend more money?
Not in- The mayor was not in none of the meetings. The police committee and the police chief apparently made those decisions, and they had no right making that without the mayor being involved.
Well, I have to disagree. I mean, you weren't in all the meetings, but there were conversations on the phone. Here's what my proposal is. Why don't you price for what this will be? We can entertain it later when you have the more specifics about it. It's kind of silly to argue about it right now.
Well, in a way, it's not really silly. I mean, I could easily get an attorney and argue this point with my own borough solicitor from the Mayor's Association. I do not want to do that because it costs taxpayers money.
Thank you.
And either going to win is the two attorneys, bottom line. And I don't want to do that. I should
I
have
have
been
no idea why you need
notified,
an
like I
attorney.
said before, in the involvement of this vehicle. I
I
don't
just
know who
think it's
brought this
crazy to
up.
spend extra
get a-
money.
Mayor, what I heard Mike just say was
don't
to
know who
go out
brought
and get
this up.
proposals and bring them back and then discuss it and see which way it goes.
Right.
Go out and get the proposals as to what the relettering is going to cost.
And what they're gonna look like, so we can all make a judgment on it.
Well, I can get that drawn up real quick. That's not a problem at all. The guy that
Dave,
does all
here,
our
Dave.
striping,
What's your estimate? Do you have a ballpark?
probably between $300 and $400,
Well,
which
then
was,
we
I
don't
believe,
need to vote on it,
$700
Dave.
put that on.
And would that be for, you want to do that to both black cars?
No, just the one. Just the one.
Well, why,
Dave,
if you're gonna do it to one, why wouldn't you do it to both to keep them uniform?
Well,
That to me
that's
is
what-
crazy. You
That's
finally
what
got, we finally
council
got
wants
cars
to
that
do
look
that. I don't
nice.
I don't have no problem doing that. You know, I wanted to say Verona Police so the people know who we are throughout the town and be
It says
proud of our
Verona
car
Police
and be
on it.
proud of our town.
It says Verona Police
But
on
it's,
there.
but you can't see it visibly. Unless you know, it's at nighttime, it shines on there. You know, like I said, and I am really, you know, this happened the first time with the 2018 Tahoe. I didn't know nothing about it. It ends up being in a garage and hey, come on over everybody and look at our new police car. I knew nothing about it and that was wrong. And I don't mean to keep hashing on this, but it's my department. Leave me alone. Let me run my damn department the way I want to run.
Amen.
I don't bother anybody else's department that's on this board. I'll give suggestions, but I don't go and say, hey, let's do this. That's all I'm going to say about this for now.
All right, thank you, Mayor and everyone. Would you like to talk about your other item on the
Yeah,
agenda?
I'm sorry. 851 Second Street, where the community garden was going to go. The other day, as I was walking to church, I noticed there was a for sale sign on there. And when I come home, I had called, I had first called Rhea, then she called Trish, I guess, and Janet, I guess you're involved in that too. But if either one of you want to elaborate more on that, because that's as far as I got as far as notifying somebody, you know, about that it went up for sale. So whoever has the most, you know, whoever has the information on that, why it's going up for sale, you know, if you want to wait or if you want to bring it up now, that's up to the president.
President Carpenter, if
Oh,
I may,
Yes, please.
expand on the email that
Yes.
I sent after Mayor Dave notified the Sea Green Committee of Parks and Rec, of which Janet chairs, that the property was up for sale. I contacted both Riverview Real Estate and Grow Pittsburgh, our partners in this operation. And unfortunately, one way or another, the original owner, who currently lives in Boston, caught wind of the interest and decided to go ahead and put the property that is 4 years delinquent in taxes on the market. It's very disappointing because I confirmed with the county that properties that are listed for sale are not eligible to be acquired, even for the purpose of public good, in this case, a community garden. So regrettably, we will be moving forward, as Janet will propose in her report, with the alternative property at 246 West Railroad.
Okay, that's an unfortunate turn of events, but thank you for clarifying that, Trish.
You're welcome.
Anything else about that, Mayor?
That's it. I just wanted to bring it to the board's attention.
Okay. I don't know whose phone that is that's ringing, but if they could mute themselves, that would be very helpful. I want to just pause for a minute before we start the committee reports. Jerry, there's a thing that says Verona, Pennsylvania, and their hand is up. I don't know if they have pertinent information. I don't know who they are, but could we just hear for them for 5 seconds and see what that hand is about?
Thank you, President. This is Joey Warren. I have that from a work meeting. I'm sorry. I have comment for the detailing of the police car. If you'd like me to save it for later, I can do that. I just didn't know if you're taking comment, if you were voting, or if it was up for discussion.
Yeah, we're not voting, so if you wouldn't mind waiting until the public comment at the end for that, I'd love to hear what you have to say.
Will do. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I think we're ready to start on the committee reports. And Mr. Matlin, I think that you are first.
Okay. Thank you, Madam President. Yeah, the first thing I have is the Verona Borough organizational chart that I sent out to everyone. I think everyone had a chance to review it, with the exception of Trish. But I know Janet had a good comment about changing I had a block in there for parking enforcement. She suggested, specifying the police secretary role. I think that would be, that would be in place of parking enforcement, since that's the role that Annette serves currently. So I can share my screen if we can do that, and show Trish and the rest of the public what it looks like right now, and then take any other comments or questions. So let's see here.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President.
All right, so can everyone see that?
All right. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I don't know if there's any other comments or questions from council. I figured, we could discuss this if there's any other comments, but in light of the fact that we're bringing Susan on to help us, it may be something that we could further review with her, and vote on at a future meeting. I didn't feel like this was, super urgent to implement, but I felt, based on the conversations that Nancy and Mike that we had at our job description meetings, and the fact that we may look to develop job descriptions for other roles within the borough, that it'd be good to have a organizational chart. So I haven't updated it yet with Janet's comment, but I will do that and send it out again. And I certainly welcome any other comments from anyone else, from the public or from council or the mayor.
All right, thanks for sharing that.
Mhm.
And then, so you'll send out the updated version when you get a chance, right?
Yeah. The only change is going to be where it says parking enforcement. I'll change that to police secretary. And I think that should be about it. And we can hold off maybe until the next meeting or meeting after, once we meet with Susan. But I wanted to at least get that out to everyone to take a look at.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. The other thing I had was just an initial discussion about the landscaping contract for this year. We had one last year. I'm hoping to get a start on it sooner than we did last year to have it, ready to go by, April or so, hopefully. I just wanted to see if anyone had any comments about the landscaping last year. If you remember correctly, we had Resnick Landscaping was the contractor that won the bid. As far as I can tell, as far as I know, talking to Mr. Kenna and to members of the garden club, I think that they did a great job. And I think for this year, what we had talked about as far as the budget, and what we had, I'd met with a few members of the garden club last fall, about continuing some of the things we were doing. Last year we had them, plant new as well as maintain the garden area around the pylons across from the pylon across from Off the Rails barbecue, as you come into town from the shopping center. And there was the Doughboy. We had them plant a lot of new stuff there, as well as maintain it. They maintained the tree pits around the various kind of publicly owned trees in the business district. And then they also they ended up taking some of the daylilies from the Doughboy and moved them over to the Borough Building, in front of the Borough Building, to help fill in some things. So I think what we would look to do is to continue maintenance of those areas, as well as look at adding some plantings next to the Veterans Wall by the steps going up to High Street. I spoke with a few people, and I think that it's kind of barren right there now, and without some kind of growth of some sort, or maybe rocks or decorative stones, it's going to be prone to erosion. I think that's the area where AJ and the Public Works crew had repaired a sanitary sewer this past year. So I think, now might be a good time to do that. So I will work on putting together another draft of that to send out to council. But I wanted to get any initial thoughts or feedback or suggestions, before I start putting it together. And I'll work with Matt, of course, to like last year, he put together the proposal and the bid package, to be sent out. And I think last year we did it as a 1 year, contract. I think, given the fact that we're changing the scope of what we did last year, I think we should do a new contract. And then maybe in future years, we can look to have this be I don't know if it's even possible to have it as something that can be renewed or extended if we're happy with the performance of the contractor. But I don't know if anyone has any thoughts or comments at this point.
Well, here's what I'd like to suggest. I have one comment, but I'd also want to invite during the comments at the end of the meeting, anybody who's on the garden club who has suggestions about that could maybe comment then. I just remember there were a few issues over on the Doughboy area where there was some overgrowth, and I don't know why that happened, but as I recall, Resnick really paid attention to that and came back and took care of it, and they were very responsible. And I was personally pleased with the work that they did, but maybe we can hear some comments from Garden Club members during public comment at the end.
Yeah, sorry, I forgot about that. I actually sent out an email to the Garden Club a week or so ago, and I did get some feedback both from Laura Jacko and Rhoda. And I apologize, I haven't been able to get back to them about their comments, but I will continue to, and Angela as well. I forgot about Angela. She did have some suggestions about what we could plant at the Veterans Wall. So I appreciate their feedback, and I'll get with those three ladies about their comments and work through that. So yeah, if anyone else has anything, let me know. And that's all I have for now. Thank you.
Dave, I have a question. You mentioned that this bid covers the maintenance of the publicly owned trees in the business district, but what about the trees in other areas, such as the new ones coming into the park that will require routine watering?
So yeah, so this does not cover watering. This is just weeding and mulching, basically, as far as maintenance goes. I think what we planned for watering is we're looking to potentially hire either 1 or 2 part-time public works crew members for the summer. And I think they may be able to help with the watering. I know that Laura, Jack, and I spoke this was probably a while ago, about the watering of the new trees. I know it's been a long time coming for those new trees. So we could certainly take a look at what, if anything, would need to be included. But I think the intent of the contract was mainly to cover the business district, since I think a lot of the stuff right now at Cribs Field is covered by our public works crew. So, but we can discuss, more details about it as far as that goes.
Okay, thank you. All right. Moving on to my committee of ordinances. We did have an ordinance meeting yesterday afternoon, and several things came out of that. And Mr. Alexander, wherever you are here, yes, may need a little bit of your help with some of these issues, but the first thing is Mr. Alexander prepared a draft of an ordinance to make our new borough manager job description as an ordinance. And he sent that over. I think I sent it to everybody. It might have been a little late. But it's a fairly straightforward ordinance that I think basically says this is going to be our job description for a borough manager. I don't know if you have anything else to add about that.
Well, there was also there was language that any time we change it, it will be by resolution versus going through an ordinance.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay.
The position of borough manager was created by Borough Council back in 1980. And within that ordinance is a section called powers and duties of the borough manager. And that's basically the job description. So what I did in this ordinance is council is repealing that jobs and duties section of the old ordinance and replacing it with this job description, which can be modified from time to time, as Mike just said, by resolution. And what I found interesting when I reviewed that old ordinance is that it actually requires the borough manager to reside within the borough limits unless the borough grants a waiver, an affirmative waiver.
So we don't have that in the
It's
new
actually
one.
still in there. It's still in the old language. It's still in the old ordinance. It's just never been enforced. I mean, we may want to add into this new ordinance that, you don't have to live in the borough, but I would recommend that we authorize getting it advertised for passage at the February meeting, and we can address any technical modification that we want to do in between that period.
Okay, thank you. So I'd like to have a motion to advertise the ordinance for the job description for borough manager.
I'll make that motion to advertise the ordinance for job description for borough manager.
Second.
Okay, first by Mr. Forbeck, second by Mrs. Provenza. Any other questions or comments?
Yeah, I saw, Nancy, the ordinance that Craig or Mr. Alexander prepared, and I know it references the attached, or I guess the job description will be a separate document. That would,
It would be attached to the ordinance,
okay,
the final job description.
okay, so we'll advertise it and it will be this 2-page ordinance as well as the longer job description that goes along with it.
That's correct.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? No, motion passed. Thank you. Okay, the second thing is, here. So there's some issues with the Rivertown building ongoing. And there's some question about bankruptcy and forcing a Chapter 7 and the person who's trying to own it or who holds the note. I'm not clear about all of it, but nobody is. And since Mr. Alexander is not a bankruptcy expert, he suggested at the meeting that we could hire for approximately $500 somebody from Stone Cipher Law Firm to do a docket search and see if we can get some clarity on what's going on with 500 Jones Street, the old Rivertown building. Is there anything you'd like to add about that, Mr. Alexander?
Thank you. So I have a colleague, his name's George Snyder. He's an old friend, and he's practiced bankruptcy law since 1988. My firm's a general practice firm, but one thing that we don't practice is bankruptcy. And whenever I have a bankruptcy question, he's my go-to guy. And I went to him with regard to the Rivertown and the fact that, you know, Christian Fike, who was a half owner in the property, was in bankruptcy but didn't list the property in his schedules. And I also discussed with him that SMP, who owns the other half, which is a partnership with Shiv Bandhu and Prasad Marga Bandhu in the property, and there's some questions with regard to prior bankruptcies and questions on the schedules where you're supposed to list any prior bankruptcies that the company's been associated with, and none are mentioned. And he indicated to me, he gave me some advice, and then I said, well, if council wanted you to look into this, you know, what would you charge us? He said, Craig, he says, I have an associate that's been with us for 15 years. I could assign her to it, and it would be somewhere in the range of $500 or so to look at the docket and give you some advice on what you can and can't do. And if there's some options for you, then once we give you that advice, we can do a cost benefit analysis to see whether it's in Verona's best interest to move forward on any of those options. So I brought that back to Dr. Carpenter, and she, as well as the other members of the ordinance committee, seemed to think it was a good idea to spend that amount of money to let them look at the docket and see if there's any options for us to pursue with regard to that property.
Okay, so that being said, we can discuss now, or I'll take a motion to authorize
Stone Cipher Law.
Mr. Alexander to have someone from Stone Cipher Law Firm do a docket search for approximately $500.
I'll make that
Quick
motion.
question.
Okay, hold on one second. Mr. Suchovich is making the motion. The second? Janet, Mrs. Boelbo. Okay, Mr. Suchovich, your comment?
I think it was the
I don't
mayor.
have a comment. I made the motion.
The mayor had a comment.
I'm sorry, Mayor, sorry.
It's all right.
Greg, before the board goes through with this, could you call Angelo Martini tomorrow, A Martini Company? They, I believe, bought the building because Angelo Senior when the COVID hit, we were talking about that, and he wanted to know if I wanted to buy a building, kiddingly, because they assumed that building, from what I understand.
Dave, they purchased the note. So it was a distressed note from the prior owners. They purchased the note from S&T Bank. So currently, supposedly, the owners of the building, SMP, is paying the mortgage to the Martinis. The Martinis' original intention was to foreclose on the property and take the building. They have since, I think their intention was that they were going to tear the building down, make it a parking lot, or eventually make it an office building. They have since decided not to do that. I think that they decided that it wasn't cost effective to go through all that. So they still own the note. Supposedly SMP is making payments to them because now Martini is basically the bank. And it's up to Martini on whether or not to foreclose on the property or to sell the note to somebody else who then would potentially foreclose on the property.
All right,
But that's where it
yeah.
stands.
Good. All right, thank you for explaining that.
What exactly is the borough's or the public interest in the property, and why would we want to do this, bankruptcy review?
The borough is owed tax money on the property. I believe there's some code enforcement violations out there as well. Mark seems pretty adamant that the borough should explore all of its options with regard to the property for a number of reasons, and I could explain more about it in executive when we go into the executive session.
Okay, I guess I'm trying. I mean, this property. I don't know. It's. I guess would we typically do this on any other commercial property that would be involved in bankruptcy, or is this? I mean, is this a unique situation for this particular property?
Definitely a unique situation, I would say. I don't know, Jerry and Greg, you agree?
I agree.
Yeah. So we're in the questions and comments section of this motion. Ironically enough, I added this new part to the agenda about any additional agenda items. And then I neglected to mention specifically my additional agenda items, of which this is one. So if there is anybody, before we would vote on this, during the question and comment period that would like to comment on it, you could do that at this point. This is on 500 Jones Street, Rivertown.
Yeah, the former Rivertown Brewing property. So real quick, the ultimate goal is that we want to try to recover the taxes owed.
Right, we'd be spending $500 to get clarity on what exactly is going on so that we could recover many thousands of dollars in taxes in bankruptcy court, I think, something like that.
Okay, I appreciate that. That makes it clear to me. So I thank you.
Mm-hmm. And I see it's either Donald or Rhoda Wharf has their hand up.
Rhoda Wharf, 636 3rd Street, Verona. In regards with this building has been, number one, an eyesore and a problem for years. I do not understand why action has not been taken sooner, number one. Number two, with all the violations that Mark, I haven't seen them, so I don't know how many violations there are. Why nothing has been done? And we're not talking like the last couple of weeks, we're talking years with this. So I can't understand why now we're worried about the bankruptcy scenario. I mean, this should have been addressed years ago. And why hasn't it been done?
My simple answer, which is not as well informed as a solicitor or even Mr. Kenna, but basically the person who came in and wanted to purchase it after it was shut down has provided many challenges to the borough because of what he does. I don't know if, if solicitor or Jerry can expound on that.
I don't think so. Not at this time. I wouldn't not go into that right now.
Well, it's
Okay.
something to look into because I just don't understand why we're in this position at this time. As a taxpayer,
Yeah, sometimes I wonder that too, Rhoda, but it's extremely complicated and very difficult to explain. But we can talk about it some more offline.
okay, Doug, thank you.
Uh-huh. So, I don't know if you want, there you go. So I don't see any other hands. So any more questions or comments on this motion? All right, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, Mr. Alexander, tell your friend to go help us clarify our situation.
Thank you.
Thank
I'll
you.
follow up on that tomorrow.
All right. And the third thing that came out of the ordinance meeting yesterday was that, and Mr. Ken, I think you know more about this as well. We have been waiting for a grant to come through for the demolition of two properties on 4th Street, 866 and 870. And I believe if I recall correctly from our last meeting, that Mr. Pitch, our engineer, said that we finally are in an approval phase of this and the bids were very low. We have a grant, the bids were low, so there's more money left over in the grant to be able to actually demolish another place that is seriously needs demolishing. When we asked Mr. Stanton which would be the best property to pick next, he suggested 423 North Street. So what we need a motion for is to authorize Mr. Pitch to make the application to add 423 North to this particular grant so that we can use the extra grant money for demolition of that property as well.
I'd like to make that
So,
motion, Dr. Carpenter.
Okay, thank you.
Second.
And second, okay. Any questions or comments? All right, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Great, motion carries. All right, I believe that is it for me. And so we'll go next to Mr. Forbeck.
Thank you, Madam President. Giving everybody an update of the search for the borough manager. We had originally 15 resumes that came in. The search committee conducted 5 interviews last Wednesday. It was a marathon session. Since then, we have gotten 5 more resumes. So we have a total of 20 interested parties for the borough manager position. We will be meeting tomorrow, the committee, to discuss these 5 other resumes and folks to see if there are any of those that we would want to interview. Now, understanding that when Ms. Hockenberry's on, she's going to be involved with this also. Our intention really is to be able to vet as 3, 4, 5 folks from this whole batch, present that to council to discuss for further interview for final selection of a person. Quite honestly, there's been some pretty good selections. The 5 folks that we interviewed all showed promise last week, and we'll let you know what occurs. What we're going to do is interview these other folks. So I think probably within the in 2 weeks, we would be able to present before council a series of folks for the council to interview. So it is possible, this process is moving great. Of course, the proof is in the pudding. Once we go through the final review, I mean, there's obviously the offers and things like that still have to take place. We do understand there's going to be some time. But I think realistically, within the next couple of weeks, we will have folks for the council to review. And that's it on that. And I think the other items I wanted to cover, I think were covered already. So I do not have anything further to add. So thank you.
I had one thing, Mike. We did need to discuss, and I don't even know if we need to do that down the road, but soon, the benefit package.
Yes, thanks, Ray. That was brought up too. I brought that up earlier. Right, the benefit package and the final salary and everything else, all the part of the negotiation process. But we do need to have that package together for any type of offering.
All right, well, thank you, Mr. Forbeck, and thank you to the search committee, Mrs. Provenza and Mr. Suchovich, for all of your extra time put in toward this project. Thank you very much.
No problem.
You're welcome, Nancy.
So next up is Mr. Suchovich.
There's nothing on budget and finance. We discussed the treasurer's report, treasurer's job. I think everything that I wanted to discuss was brought up by other council members. And again, Mr. Forbeck took the bull by the horns and really led us in a good direction with the interview process. I've learned a lot in the last couple of weeks, so it's been a good learning experience.
I've done a few of them.
You act like it. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Mrs. Lualbo.
Thank you, Madam President. Just a little update on the Cribs Pavilion. Matt Hitch had sent to council, a little update with the new building that will be going up. Demolition has been completed. All the building materials have been ordered. The roof and trestle will take about 6 to 8 weeks for that to come in. The block should be about 6 weeks. So hopefully by the end of February, they'll have the brown foundation laid, and weather depending, they could start building the foundation. The stainless steel for the trestles, that'll be about 10 weeks. So they're looking at the project, hopefully can be completed by the end of April. So once spring sports and the ball seasons begin, hopefully we'll have a nice concession stand and pavilion ready for our community. And also with the property on 2nd Street being up for sale, it was brought to my attention that to move forward with the community garden, that I would like to make a motion, if I could, to try to acquire, if the borough could try to acquire the property at 246 West Railroad Avenue. That was the second choice when we were looking at spots for the community garden. So I'd like to make a motion if the borough can acquire through the Allegheny County Vacant Property Recovery Project to acquire the property at 426 West Railroad Avenue.
I'll make that motion, Janet.
Already did.
Oh, yeah, no, you're seconding, I think, Sylvia.
I'm
Okay.
sorry. My phone cut
Right.
out. Excuse me.
Yeah. So, any questions or
One.
comments?
One question. I
Yeah.
read in the email that it was for the 2022 project now. Am I right? We're not going to do it for this year. It's going to be for next year, correct?
For next
Yeah,
this year.
Thank you.
we're delayed. And I just wanted to make a clarification. Janet, the first time you said 246, and The second time you said 426. I want to be clear on which the address is.
246 West Railroad.
246. Okay, and I had another question. And that was, I know when Trish made the presentation about Second Street, there was an approximate cost of something like $2,700 that the borough would be putting out for that property. I don't remember the exact number. Is it the same number approximately of how much it would cost to acquire 246 West Railroad?
That I'm not sure on. I would think it's
Trish, maybe you know?
Off the top of my head, it's a couple $100s more. I can pull up the exact figures.
Okay. It would still maybe be around 3,000 or a little less. Not much
I think we
more.
budgeted for 3,000, so we have that flexibility. Trish, do you need us to do another letter? Or do you need us to do something at the office to do that?
I'll take care of it, Jerry. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions or comments?
And Madam President, yes, I'll make a comment on that. We did like Second Street, but apparently it wasn't meant to be. And Trish and I and a few other people did go down. I had suggested looking at that property. And the nice thing there was, Trish had mentioned, what do you think the neighbors are going to think about this? So I immediately called Ramona at the Sylvan Bar, and she was very receptive to having the garden there. So I think that's a real plus for us, that we don't have to beg people, you know, and say, please, please let us have it. They're very, very receptive. And I
It
thought
is
that
the
was
corner
nice.
lot, right?
It is,
Mhm.
Ray. It
Yeah.
is a lovely
Thank you.
piece of property, and it has a lot of potential, even more when we think about it than Second Street did. So I'm pleased that we're looking into that. That may work even better.
Do we have any idea who owns that property and whether we're going to end up in the same position as we are in Second Street?
I believe that the
Ray-
Monroe family
Raymond, I-
owned that property. I believe it was.
Yeah,
the
Monroe's,
George
yeah.
Monroe family.
Okay,
I remember them as a small child.
Was that a double lot or is it a single lot?
Oh, that's a double.
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry, my internet cut out just a tad. I heard you say Monroe. Do you think that we're a little safer with this property from someone wanting to then sell it?
I do. I do.
Okay, great. And I got information from Mrs. Showalter that the cost for that property would be $3,100. I think we can probably handle the extra $100. Yeah, thanks, Jerry.
That's a
Okay,
good
so,
price for that property.
yeah.
It's
So,
a nice property, and it's nice and level,
mhm,
has many pluses to it.
and I can walk to it.
Yes, you can.
So
Great.
anyway, if there's no other questions or comments, all those in favor of this motion, please say aye.
Bye.
And any opposed? Motion passes.
All right, thank you very much. And that's all I have for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Provenza.
Yes, Madam President. Good evening, all, and I'm ready to give a report here. We'll start with newsletter. We're currently working on our spring edition, and our ads and articles will be due on Monday, March the 1st. Any articles that you have can go to our editor, Donald Worf, and he can be reached at veronanewsroom@gmail.com. And I will be more than happy to take your ads, and I can be reached at 412-828-7726. Next, Chamber of Commerce. I spoke with President of Chamber, which is Mr. Ewing, and he said things are very quiet, but tentatively we are planning a meeting for Tuesday, February 16th. And hopefully, he said, we'll be able to get together, but time will tell. Historical Society. All meetings are still currently canceled until further notice. And if you'd like any more information, you can go to the website, which is veronahistory.org. On occasion, we do have information there. Twin Borough Ministries. The community dinners are going to be tomorrow evening, Wednesday, February 27th at the Verona Methodist Church. They will be from 4:30 to 6:30. They are grab and go dinners again, nothing indoors. So you can, if you know of anyone who needs dinners or needs some help in that area, please share this with them. And the dinners are being by Presbyterian Senior Care. Thanks to Shirley and her helpers for the wonderful service they do to our people here in the community. And I spoke with ALOM this morning, and they are now still hoping to do the spring conference up at Seven Springs. And the dates on that will be June 17th through the 20th. And they said if there's any change, they would certainly let me know. So that concludes my report. And I thank you very much, Madam President.
Thank you, Mrs. Provenza.
Yes.
Anything from the COG, Mr. Matlin?
What about Ms. Showalter?
Oh, you're right. Mrs. Showalter, would you have anything to report on?
I just want to say thank you, everyone, for giving me this opportunity. I know that all of the candidates had many wonderful attributes and things to contribute, and I look forward to continuing to work with everyone on and off council, and I'm very excited for what this year will bring us all. So thank you again.
Didn't mean to forget you. I'm just like doing a lot of stuff here. Thank you.
That's all right, Trish. We're going to say welcome again. We're glad to have you on board.
Thank you.
Yes, welcome, welcome.
Yep.
Okay. Now back to serious business. Anything from the COG?
No, our next meeting is tomorrow night, so I don't have anything to update.
Okay, so next meeting then maybe something. I'm not sure why the agenda says project we can apply for PA small business grant. Anybody know why the agenda says that? Okay, I don't. All right, and that's the end of the committee reports. Council will now hear comments on public related items at this time. Please raise your virtual hand and clearly state your name and address and limit your comments to 3 minutes as much as possible. All right, and I think Mr. Warren has got his hand up.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Thanks. Congratulations to Trish. And also thank you to council for your consideration with the process of actually interviewing. I know that wasn't required, but positive gesture from council for simply doing that process. So I want to thank you for that. From earlier discussion, I wanted to say that I don't see the benefit of challenging the mayor on his efforts to have our local police vehicles visible or accessible to glance with the neighbor or in our neighborhood streets. I know there's been an ongoing issue with speeding on the boulevard and just patrolling in general. I think we should have a police presence that's visible, literally, not elusive with black on black graphics where it's kind of blending in. I think if there were to be contrasting lettering or decals, I think it'd be to the benefit. I know a couple of council members challenged that they were fast to kind of argue and interrupt that it was going to be a cost that they were looking to save, but it's nominal. If it's only $300 to $500, which is the same amount that cruiser is going to sell for, with which was discussed earlier. So I just wanted to voice that as a resident, I favor the mayor's efforts to be more visible and accessible with the lettering of the vehicles. And if that means that they need to match because someone was debating that they need to all match, and if that's the case, I think it's worth investing to make sure that they are all visible if that's what the goal is. But that's all I wanted to share on that.
Thank you. Daniel Showalter is next.
Can you hear me, guys?
Yep.
All right, Daniel Showalter, 440 North Avenue. I'd actually just like to echo Joey's statement about the police vehicles. I could say on multiple occasions, I'm sitting on my front porch or I'm just taking a walk with the fam, and there's this slow moving dark SUV. And I would do a double or triple take, like, what's happening here? What is this vehicle? And then it would get closer and you'd kind of see the lights on top of the vehicle and you'd see the lettering. But it on multiple occasions, it kind of threw me off. So that's really just all I have to say about that particular subject. And second, I would like to thank council for approving my wife to serve in the interim. You guys made a very wise decision. I knew on our second date that I was going to marry her. So you guys, good decision. So anyways, have a good night.
Thank you, Dan.
That was nice. That
Okay,
was
Mr.
nice.
Vince.
I like that, Dan.
Hello, Vince Flota, 323 Penn Street. I want to mirror Joey's comment and most of Dan's comment. I do think that the police vehicles need to be a little more visible because we don't want people calling the police on the police. It might seem a little counterproductive if residents start calling the police to report a suspicious vehicle creeping through their neighborhood that they don't know what it is, and then the police have to field calls about themselves. So I agree with making the police more visible, and that would actually help with the community to recognize the police and who's there to help them. I also want to congratulate Trish as well and thank council for their consideration and the interview that I had on Saturday. So thank you and have a good day.
Thank you, Vince.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess no comments from the garden club about the landscaping. I can get with you, Dave, offline, I guess. And if there's no other comments, I need a motion to adjourn to exec session.
I'll make it, Nancy.
Second.
Okay, thank you. Ray, yes. Any questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you very much.
While
So-
the